40 years of developing hockey players from youth to the pros, Minnesota Hockey Camps has a player development program for you. Located in Breezy Point, Minnesota, our professionally coached on-ice development sessions, off-ice speed training, weight room sessions, stick handling sessions, shooting skill sessions are the right program for you. MHC takes great pride in its tradition with developing NHL players like Chris Stewart, Ryan Bugsy Malone, Scotty Hartnell, and TJ Oshie. Our dedicated staff is ready for you. Come check us out at MinnesotaHockeyCamps.com. Sign up for your chance to become the player you've always wanted to be. Hashtag who will be next.
Cold showers, leaking pipes, furnace giving you the chills? Look no further. At Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, we've got you covered. From expert plumbing solutions to HVAC magic and all sheet metal work, we are your one-stop shop for comfort and reliability. Professional service from a team that cares. Say goodbye to household woes and hello to peace of mind. Call Iron Range Plumbing and Heating today and feel the difference.
At Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, we have the trucks. Over 47 new Silverados and Sierras sitting currently on the lot with more to come. We have all the options: LT, RST, LTZ, High Countries, ZR2s. We have heavy duties. We have Sierra, SLT, Elevations, Denali's. We are equipped for the truck you are looking for. With great rebates currently, with up to $12,500 off on select models, now would be a great time to take advantage of savings and get yourself into a new truck today. Grand Rapids GM in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Welcome everybody to the Tea with Miss McGill Show, presented by our friends up at Fortune Bay Resort Inn and Casino. Make plans today to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino on beautiful Lake Vermilion. Fortune Bay offers 172 rooms and a smoke-free resort, indoor pool, full-service marina, RV park, which we're going to need soon. Spring is coming. World-class golf, several dining options, a bar, and all the gaming you can handle. Visit FortuneBay.com for more details and plan your trip right now. Plenty of snow. We got more last week. The weather warms up on Saturday. If you're not at hockey games, which you should be, but if you're not, you can take the sled out. You can get the fish on. So FortuneBay.com for all the details. All right. Tis the playoffs. Tis the reason for the jerseys. Tis Puka speaking. Tis the star of the show. Coach Reed Larson, Week 14, Episode 105.
105.
How we doing? Ready to rock?
Ready to rock and roll. We're right into the playoffs. We're one game deep for those that haven't had to play the play-in game. Some 2 games deep. I don't think we had any upsets into that, but
not
as far as play-in game stuff, but some 2 games into the playoffs already. But yeah, we're looking forward to Saturday, and we'll get into talking about those. It's going to be an awesome semifinal Saturday at Amsoil Arena. We'll talk about the in-between at the Green Mill and celebration of our 100th episode.
Absolutely.
And much more here as we kind of move on through episode 105.
105. All right, some subs this week. J Mans Sniper Dad 24, Carter Sadness 19, Big Topper 94 18, and the Coulters. And I just want to give a shout out because one of our biggest fans, as you probably see, is the lovely Louette Coulter, who sits right over there. So if you're ever looking for Louette, the lovely Louette is right over there. And Mark, settle down because you know she's lovely. So Louette, we just want to thank you because you're always liking her stuff. You're a big fan, not just of our show, but you're a big supporter of Grand Rapids hockey. So that's awesome, both boys and girls. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you there. All right, real quick, got some data. So I got a little email from Spotify telling us that we are now in the top 20% of all video podcasts on Spotify.
Really?
Yes.
Right on.
So that's
top
pretty
25?
No, top 20%.
Oh,
so we are in the top 20s of all. So if they're just podcasting without the video, I don't think that counts. But those that are watching video on Spotify are in the top 20%. So we just want to thank all of you Spotifyers. We appreciate that very much. And be just like all these Spotifyers and subscribe today and join America's fastest growing hockey podcast. All right, Coach Larson just alluded to semifinal Saturday. We've been pumping this, so here's your last invite. semifinal Saturday, which is this Saturday, February 22nd, 4 to 5:30, the Green Mill. When's the last time you've been to the newly remodeled Green Mill down in Canal Park? Well, hopefully it will be on Saturday. Join Coach Reed Larson, yours truly. We have that 100th episode party. We're going to have their famous pizza. We'll have their deep dish pizza. I know I'm gonna get some of the coconut chicken fingers, appetizers. They're to die for. So cold beer, of course, cold beer. So join us 4 to 5:30. The AA schedule should be ending, so you can swing on over. And those of you that are going to be going to the single A programs, you'll be pre-gaming. So we'd love to see you. We'll have beer. It's happy hour at 4 o'clock they have a daily happy hour at 4 o'clock at the Green Mill. So if you're into the hard stuff, you're coming at the right time. You can get that going at a happy hour price. We'll be in the Bulldog Room, and don't forget the 2 drawings we're going to have for the aforementioned Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. We're going to be giving away a premium room, good for any night up at Fortune Bay, and or because you can enter both, a $50 gift card to the steakhouse up at Fortune Bay Resort and Casino. So again, let's recap. It's this Saturday. Free pizza, free beer, 2 giveaways, at a great venue, the Green Mill, Canal Park. Share right now because you want everyone to be there. We want to see all of you when you want to see everybody there.
Yeah, we want to see everybody that's on the other side of the camera that we don't get to see. You guys get to see us. We want to meet you.
100%. So be there Saturday. Like I said, it'll be a great slate of games that we're going to go over in a little while. All right, let's giddy up into our games of the week. Presented by the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Specials most nights of the week. Burger Night Monday, Taco Tuesday, Wing Wednesday, the legendary Fish Fry on Friday, all you can eat, of course, and Prime Rib Saturdays. I was there last Friday for breakfast, omelet, pancakes, everything's good. 248-8582, give Michelle a call. You can also order at the ringsportsbarandgrill.com, 248-8582. I said, tell Michelle we sent you, use up those gift cards, and we will, hopefully, I was talking to Michelle on Friday, get a show over there this summer.
Yeah.
Get some interviews in.
Yeah. So we'll get there.
Yep, so the Ring Sports Bar and Grill. All right, playoff hockey. It is time. So last night, we're going to dig in. First, we'll go back over to the Quad Cities. Rock Ridge hosting the Duluth East Greyhounds. You had mentioned last week in the show, this is a team you probably didn't want to meet. Another absolutely packed house, everything I heard. Ding, 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 Section 7 committee. That's why these 7A championship games should be at the ITMEC, because it is a packed house. We'll talk about that more later, but for those of you, get on the Section 7 committee, on the members of the committee, and tell them we need the Section 7A championship game there. But back to the game. Rock Ridge was up 3 rip going into the third after they had 0 shots in the first period. After the Hounds had 0 shots in the first period. The Hounds pumped 2 quick ones in the third to tighten things up. But then Diesel, our buddy Diesel, caps off the hat trick, his 30th of the season at about the 8-minute mark. Leads Rock Ridge to a 4-2 win. Probably the best 8-versus-1 game in the state last night.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't dig too much into all of the, top seed, bottom seed games. I was, when you look at these, I'm always more interested in where you think a lot of the upsets might happen, like your 4-5 seeds, even sometimes a 6-3 seed. But to be quite honest with you, we talked about it. We also said, there's a high probability that there can be an upset with 4 or 5, which there was. And if there was going to be another upset someplace else, hate to throw that dart at Rock Ridge, but I would not have wanted to play Duluth East in that game if I were them. And for good reason. You saw it. It was, they didn't get any shots in the first period, but they actually had some structure that didn't look bad. It was only 1-0 after the first period, right? And then, Rock Ridge pumps a couple more in the second period, makes a little bit more room for comfort. It's 3-0. But Duluth East, with their never die mentality and their tradition of Greyhound hockey, they come back and score 2 within 6 minutes to make it 3-2. And just from word from people that were there, I didn't get to see that. I watched the first period in the coach's room before our game because it started at 6. People that were there said that it was a tighter third period. There was a couple of sweaty moments there where, you're probably sweating bullets a little bit that thing could be tied up at any point. And
oh yeah, for sure. I'm sure they got a little nervous.
now, correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody correct. Was there a goal that was called off for Duluth East that could have tied the game, or was that a rumor?
I hadn't heard that. And I said, I didn't get to watch all of it either because I was in the basketball.
Yeah, that's just something, you hear stuff. I didn't get to watch the entire game. So, I also heard from others from Virginia that, well, there was really no moment that you were all that worried. It was just, well, I think anytime somebody comes within a goal of you in a 1-8, I'm sure you're a little bit worried. But they cleared that up real quickly shortly after. It was only, a little over a minute later that Rockridge scored to make it, 4-2 and actually, gave themselves a little bit more insurance on the game. And that's how it ended.
Yep, that's how she ended. So, all right, congratulations to Rockridge for moving on. Like you said, you were here, the 2-7 match. Versus Cambridge Isanti. Again, another one I wasn't able to see because I was at the gym. So why don't you walk us through and that being a pretty big win for the Thunderhawks?
Yeah, I mean, there was, you get in a playoff mentality, and just from a coaching standpoint, you want to make sure that the confidence level of going into that game, a 7-2 game, there shouldn't be any doubt when you go into that game at all whatsoever, and we didn't want to give them any hope. The idea was to make them quit right away, make them quit at the beginning of the game, and when you score within a minute of the game right away to start it off, when you score that quickly.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was within the first 2 minutes of the game, minute or so of the game. When you score that quickly and it goes in, and then shortly after, not even 2 minutes later, boom, it goes in again. It's like, pretty. I don't want to say making it sound easy, but the wind gets taken out of their sail so quickly that they just want to stop. Yeah. And at that point in time, so felt comfortable.
Yeah, as a coach, because you've done many of these, how much of a relief? Because as a coach, you got to look at it like we've always said, they're kids, right? So it's 1-8 or it's 2-7. They're at home. Are they looking past the quarterfinal game to the semifinal game?
Well, you want to make sure that they aren't doing that.
Yeah, well, right.
You want to make sure that you leave no doubt, and you need to be playing. Sometimes you get worried about getting trapped into a game like that when you've got a 1-8 seed or a 2-7 seed. You think, are you going to play down to a level?
Right.
Or are you going to be ready to be playing playoff hockey so that you're primed and ready to go for Saturday? And that was the whole point. At no point in time did we plan on taking our foot off the gas at all whatsoever. It was, we're going to go, we're going to keep going, we're going to get everybody in when the time is right, but we're going to keep going. And that was the mentality last night. It felt like guys were primed and ready to go for the playoffs. It didn't feel like at times this year when we played teams that maybe weren't at the same level. At times we played down to teams' level.
Well,
and that didn't happen last night. We played hard. We played as if we were playing a Rock Ridge. We played as if we were playing an Andover, and the score reflected it at the end of the game. I think after the first period, they had 1 shot on net.
Oh, okay.
And I think after the second period, they had 3.
Okay.
And a total of 9 shots.
Okay.
Of the entire game. We actually, at the end of the game, had we had a penalty. We had to kill a penalty at the end of the game. So I think out of the 9 shots, they probably had 4 of them on that penalty kill at the end of the game. And it's just the way it is. And third period is running time, but you're also at that point in time feeling a little bit of comfort. And you're playing your 4th line every other shift.
Sure.
You're playing your 5th and 6th defensemen every other shift, just to get guys extra ice time and frankly to rest some of the other guys. It's been a grind through the year, and we've earned that right to be able to take a little bit of a breather and get some guys some ice time, which we were happy to do last time.
Now, did Ryder Miskevich get in too?
He did. He got in the third period, and that is you can't say enough about our goaltending. It warms your heart when you coach 2 guys like that. I've been involved in teams where it's always been a competition between goalies, and sometimes you worry about, are they supporting the other guy? Ryder Miskevich has been the best support valve for Carter Casey all year long. They sit next to each other in a locker room, they talk about everything, they work together, he supports him. all year long. And same thing, vice versa. When it's Ryder's turn to play, they, you're going to get the same thing from Carter. Carter is going to support him and is as excited for him as he is for anybody else. He sees a shutout game on a night where Carter's got the night off and Ryder gets a shutout. He's the first one to be in there patting him on the back. And last night in the third period, Carter started the game, but coach asked Carter, you all right? This is going to be Ryder's last game in this building. How do you feel about him going in the third? And it was absolutely, he goes in. Absolutely, I want him to play in this building. It's the last time he's going to get to play a game on this sheet of ice. Put him in.
Yeah, awesome.
And what a selfless move.
Oh, 100%.
And you expect that from a team player, like you expect that from a Carter Casey. You expect it from someone like Ryder, and Ryder's a captain. You expect it from guys like that, and it's pretty awesome to see that. It's a really, really selfless move, and cool to see.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, you said the kids came ready to play. That partially is leadership too, right?
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
So, all right. Well, congrats to the Thunderhawks. All right, the next one we want to talk about, the 4-5 matchup. So, Duluth Marshall, despite being the lower seed, despite going on the road, despite being down 5-1 at one point, and despite being outshot 34-22, and leading for only about 3 minutes, number 5 Marshall knocks off number 4 Forest Lake, 65 down to Forest Lake. This was a good one, and we kind of talked about the Hilltoppers, being sneaky. And kids, this is why you play the game.
Yeah, you know what? It sounded to me and I had a pretty cool conversation this morning at Captain's Council at Grand Rapids High School. The father of Bennett Sissons, Jeff Sissons, came to speak to our Captain's Council. He's a leader in the business world and was a captain for UMD back in the early 2000s, 99, 2000. Yep. And he came to speak to our Captain's Council, and I talked to him this morning about it, and he said, beginning of the game, they just didn't look like they had their legs. They didn't look into it, and then something snapped. It was 5-1. Yeah. Something snapped, come back and score 5 goals to win the game. 4 to tie it up, and the 6th goal, boom, next thing you know, overtime win. I don't want to break my...
No, not an overtime win.
Oh, no.
3 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago.
Right, about 3 minutes ago,
I don't want to break my arm patting myself or you on the back for our picks for AA. We'll get into single A in a minute. But if you go back to the first episode of the season when we're talking about startings, who do you think? Who's your preseason picks? We didn't want to say in any order. 1, 2, 3, Rockridge, Andover Rapids. 4, we put Forest Lake in there, but we said there's a really interesting situation with Duluth Marshall. You never know. Weird that we got the top 4 figured out. Weird. Just going to say it. Don't break your arm, pat yourself on the back, but interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I heard they held the McKinnon, the 8th grader, that phenom, to 1 assist, is what I had heard from somebody. So I did catch a little bit of that, but not all of it.
So that's your only, we talked about this in the pre-chat, that's your only disappointment is that good for Duluth Marshall to win that game and to get there and for the upset, but I think there's a lot of people like, well, you just want to get a chance to see that 8th grader play one more time before he's likely, who knows where he's going to end up.
Right. Exactly.
You see somebody that's that good and that's playing at that level, he's an 8th grader and he's playing someplace like Forest Lake, there's a weird situation where you just never know if he's going to be there next year.
And had a brother that had already
left
senior left or something. Yeah, so I just found that out today. I had no idea. So, so congratulations to Marshall. Big win, riding high. Gonna bring a lot of momentum in on to Saturday. And obviously a private school, but potentially a decent sized fan base coming in as well, right down there in Duluth. All right, and our final game we're going to cover here. Another 4-5 matchup. Number 4, Proctor. Number 5, International Falls. In Proctor, Proctor's leading 3-1 heading into the 3rd. Boom, boom. I-Falls with a couple of quick ones. They tie it up 3-3. But like so many overtimes, the same story as so many overtimes. Within a minute, I think it was about 30 seconds in. There's bodies all over on the ice, eye falls, a couple of defensemen, maybe a forward. The goalie's on the ground, puck pops out to the Proctor defenseman. It's a wide open net. There's just nothing around. Sinks it. But congratulations to Coach Baldwin. Like I said, we had that interview, and I think it was our September. You go back and look at our September program. But like I said, they kind of turned things around. The wind's at their back a little bit, and made a nice run in the playoffs. I mean, what the heck? In overtime and even just getting the 5th seed.
Yeah, he gave it a nice push. It was interesting to see that. I mean, again, Proctor putting themselves in a position to be a number 4 seed. It was awesome to see. But it's also good that there's somebody pressing. Those are always the most fun games to watch. I don't care if you're talking about the playoffs for sections, or if you're talking about the 8:30 game Thursday night at the state tournament. They're always the most interesting because upsets can happen, and there's such equal teams that play in that 4 or 5 seed game. So interesting game. Proctor comes out with the win, but Falls kind of setting themselves up for we're still alive. We're still here. Be back next year. That's kind of what they're thinking.
Yep.
And good job, Coach Baldwin, for getting that going.
Yep, 100%. Yep, congrats to both teams. All right, good time to pound the like button. We're going to get into our previews presented by Aspire Heating and Control. Of course, it's been cold, and nothing but cold. If you're having problems with that furnace, you want to listen up, because Aspire is your local Bryant dealer, and Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction, residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are, of course, licensed and bonded. Give Justin a call, 218-999-5957. Any furnace troubles, 999-5957. Justin is your guy, Aspire Heating and Control. All right, the aforementioned semifinal Saturday. Hockey, party, we got it all going on down at Amsoil and Duluth. So game number 1 will feature the number 1 Rock Ridge Wolverines versus the number 5 Duluth Marshall Hilltoppers. These two met January 7th, 4-1 Rock Ridge win. I kind of look back at some of the Landon Wheeler's the goaltender for the Hilltoppers. He's used to stopping about 30 shots per night. This one could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be. I think you're probably looking a little bit more like there's going to be, 40, 45 shots from Rock Ridge. They've got a little bit more pace, a little bit more speed, but, they're real similar. I know that the seeding didn't end up this way, but they're real similar and actually play a lot like Duluth East. That could definitely be an interesting game. It's not going to be a blow up by any stretch of the imagination, and Duluth Marshall's not going to go down lightly. Right? If they're going to go down, they're going to go down with a fight. Marshall's going to be ready to play.
Yeah,
and
they got momentum.
And like I said before, it sure is nice. I've seen a lot of teams go on these big, long, unbeaten streaks. I've seen it happen over years and years of either playing the game or coaching the game, and it's nice to, I think the last undefeated team that I saw win a state championship was like, who was it? Lakeville North in 2015.
Or 15, was that? Okay.
And they had a couple of things throughout the course of the year, but never were tested, and they ended up winning it all. And I've seen teams go all the way into the playoffs undefeated and lose in the first round or the second round. And all I can say is that hopefully there have been some things in Rock Ridge's schedule, program, season where they've become battle tested. Because you'd hate for that one little hiccup to happen when it's elimination time.
Yep,
so all I can say is that if I'm Duluth Marshall, I'm throwing everything in the kitchen sink at those guys, because you just never know.
Well, coming loose and I just, as you're saying that, Warroad 2 years ago, right? Undefeated, lose to Matamita, and they were up by 2. I think 3 different times they were up by 2 in that championship game, and Matamita fought back.
Yeah.
Anyone, you just mentioned Duluth East. Now, last week it was Marshall Duluth East, and Duluth East beat Marshall. Close one? Was that a close one?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the score?
Yeah,
so
close.
it's kind of, they're right there. It's kind of what we're saying. So, so it should be a good one at noon. Good luck to both teams. Anything else on that one?
No, I think get there early. These are games where I really like the fact that we've got it's in the last couple of years, but this year we've got some real local teams.
Yeah.
With Duluth Marshall being in it. Duluth East was a 4 seed last year, or whatever it was, or a 3 seed last year. We got to play Andover in the second round. But when you get a Marshall there, when you get a Rock Ridge there, when you get a Rapids there, get there early, get your seats.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of people there, and a lot of area teams from the section want to come and watch those games as well too. I always think the AA games are good to have in that venue because there's a lot.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I get a little irritated that the AA games aren't the prime time on the clock, but I understand why. Like, these are the afternoon games. You play the 12 o'clock for the top seed, the 2 o'clock for the 2-3 seed game for AA. And I think originally they did that because there was some Southern teams in that. Right. And they want the Andover, or previously, Elk River used to be in there, and so did Coon Rapids and some of those teams. And they get a little longer drive, so let's accommodate. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, what do we need to accommodate for? I like the 7 o'clock game or the 6 o'clock game. I like that because it's what everybody's expecting the game to be.
Yeah.
Well, the single A gets to have the prime time games, and maybe they'll need that a little bit in order to, we'll talk more about that, in order to start pulling crowd to come in there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then, went over the noon game. So then the 2 o'clock game, number 2, Grand Rapids Thunderhawks, number 3, Andover. This will be a rematch of a game just a couple of weeks ago, the February 1st game, in which the Huskies pulled off the 4-2 win down in Andover.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. There's a lot of animosity right now. There was some real bad taste in their mouth after leaving Andover. I'm sure there was a bad taste in their mouth when we went down there, which is why they came out so hard. The bad taste in their mouth was that we had beat them in the section final. That's the last time we'd seen them.
Yep.
And we're coming into their barn, and they're going to throw everything at us, and they sure as heck did. They played a really good game against us. We played pretty good too. I wouldn't say we were horrible. We had a problem putting a puck in the net that night a little bit. We were a little bit down on our special teams that night. But they were on it. And when we were down there, they scored 2 out of 4, 2 out of 3 power play goals. I think we were 1 for 5 or 1 for 4 on the power play. So the difference in that game was special teams.
Okay.
For sure. And they came out on top of that. Obviously, these teams are going to be sharpening up that part of their game a lot with half, if not more, of practice time, making sure that you've got the right personnel, making sure you're watching video and paying attention to tendencies, this, that, and the other deal, because that's going to be a battle. And like we said, we played that game. They had a bad taste in their mouth for us when we came there. We felt like we went down there and we kind of felt like we got ripped off a little bit. We went in there, we thought we played pretty good, but not good enough to win, and we left with a sour taste. So it's, I guess, a good opportunity for Rapids to right a wrong in that situation and try to climb back into that championship game.
Yep, and they had a tough one last night.
Yeah, that was, so they ended up last night, they ended up playing a Denfeld game last night that was 3-0 after, I think halfway through the game, it was still 0-0 with Duluth Denfeld. Denfeld ends up putting up a pretty good game against those guys for half the game, but popped a couple of in. I think it was 3-0 after the third period, and then third period hits, and Denfeld gets a 5-minute head contact penalty, 5-minute major. Andover goes on the power play, scores 3 goals on the power play, the same power play, 5-minute major, boom, boom, boom. Now it's 6-0. Yeah. So they walked through that third period, but it was a fairly close game for
most of it, half of it, yeah. So
that's gonna be a fun matchup for Saturday with the Thunderhawks.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that one. So make sure you're down there. And then, of course, after this game, we'll celebrate the Thunderhawk victory over at the Green Mill, and then we will move on to the 6 p.m. game. Move down to the single A. move over to the single A. I should have said move over to the single A. Number 1 CEC, Cloquet-Esco Carleton, and number 4 Proctor. Rivalry game here. Last time these two teams met December 10th. 4-3 CEC win in Proctor. Well, this one's kind of a pick 'em.
Yeah, it's just a pick 'em, but I feel like if Cloquet's on their game,
get that line
probably if I say this real loud, I might be sleeping on the couch tonight because my wife is a Proctor grad. But if Cloquet is playing their game, I don't think they've got a whole lot to worry about. But if they feel like they're going to take a 2-3 minute break like they have a couple of times throughout the course of the last month of the season, that could be problems because there's enough firepower on that Proctor team with Tanner Ross, with his brother, with Bryant, that these guys can score. So don't give them any space.
Yeah.
It could be a pick 'em, but it could also be if that top line with Gentilini, Thorson, and Knudsen, if those guys come out hot, they could score 4 goals in the first 5 minutes.
Or if Proctor gets into penalty trouble,
Yep.
and you see if
They
those
could.
guys on the power play, that
Absolutely.
could be 5-0 after just a couple of periods. So, all right. So good luck to both of those squads, and then the 8 p.m. game. Number 2 Hermantown Hawks, number 3 Chisholm Hibbing Blue Jackets last met a month ago, January 17th. The Hawks down the Jackets 6-3 up at Hibbing Memorial Arena. Of course, a rematch of the game 2 years ago where they were in the semifinals together, and I think that was a 3-2 game. I think Hermantown scored with about 5 seconds to go, and so another rematch of that. But what are you expecting in this one?
You know, it's kind of a coin flip. Again, it's kind of a what Hermantown team shows up. You know, because they've had some games where they've lost to some teams I'm really surprised that they lost to, and then they played teams tough and won some games that I'm like, how?
Yeah.
You know, so when you see what they got and how they play, for instance, we were there just last Tuesday, played over there, and that was a completely different Hawk team. We played pretty good. They played pretty good. It was a 1-1 tie. I'm thinking, they play like that, I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of problem winning a game like that. Right? But if they take a break like I've seen them do,
Yeah.
and Hibbing's got some firepower, they could, that could be interesting too.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. And you know what, I never try to, I do, maybe it sounds like I throw bias around when I'm wearing my Rapids jersey and I get to do that, right? But I don't like to throw too many biases the other way, but if I did throw a bias, I really would like to see 2 teams that haven't been in that Section 7 final together before.
Yeah.
2 teams and not one of them being Hermantown. I would like to see a Cloquet Hibbing
Final.
in that
Rematch of last year's semifinal.
Yeah, I think it's time for somebody else in that game. I don't know. I could be way off too, because I'll tell you what, if the team that played against us last Tuesday is playing that Hermantown team, then I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
No. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So we got 4 really good games coming up here. So seniors, I just want to look in the camera and tell you, this is your time. It's your Saturday. I just grabbed some names like Gus Drennan, Carson Young, Jace Kamsla, Zach Norbert, Tanner Ross, the aforementioned. Like, this is your day. This is it. It's win or go home. And in some cases, in some of these kids, it's go home for good, right? So this is your day. So if I was you, watch the entire Tea with Miss McGill show. Don't turn it off now, but watch the entire Tea with Miss McGill. Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Thinking about it and get your rest. So, and don't get sick. So, all right. Anything to add to the previews?
Nope.
All right. Scores and more. Iron Range Apparel, Instagram, Facebook. The new location over there at the Super One in Virginia. So, of course, we got the baseball caps. We got the winter caps. We've got jerseys. We got everything ODR that you could ever want. So the Get Buyer's Paradise over there in Virginia, Iron Range Apparel, 741-5138, 741-5138. Like I said, give them a like on Facebook, give them a like on Instagram. You can check. They're posting all the time, so they're always highlighting their merchandise there. So Iron Range Apparel, 741-5138 over in Virginia. All right. I'm going to go into some of these scores and more, but one thing I want to say, Brian Bonin, remember Brian Bonin?
Yep.
1992, Mr.
Right
Hockey,
there, like-
1996, Hobie Baker, and he has been kind of pounding the table for the last couple of years, and we need a third class. And this is some of the stuff he's talking about. So I'm going to highlight a few games in support of what he is saying. Bemidji over Buffalo, 10-1. I don't know. I'm not even, well. Ward over Park Rapids, 16-0. Northern Lakes, I don't even know who they beat. You know who they beat? 18-1. Of course, Hermantown over Greenway, 16-0. Brainerd dropped by Moorhead, 13-1. And I didn't really initially until the last minute, I just kind of threw this in here. But have you ever thought about that third class? It just seems like there is just another tier that, and he talks about this a lot when he looks at these playoffs. He's like, when teams are getting blown out by 10, he's, in his opinion, need a third class.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I guess you can push that envelope as much as you want, but until there are enough programs in the state to be able to do that, look at all the football programs in the state. There are enough football programs in the state to have 6 classes because that's how many schools have football. There's enough programs in the state to have 5 or 6 classes of basketball because every school in the state has it.
Yep.
Not everybody has hockey. You'd like to say that. How many co-ops are out there?
Yep.
Where you got all these smaller schools combining to make, one program. I don't know if there's enough.
Okay.
And what it does, I guess, is it waters down people's opportunity. Sometimes it looks to me, and I'm not arguing it, I'm just saying it comes down to almost like a fake opportunity to go to a state tournament because you don't even have a quarterfinal game. You go right to a semifinal.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't even have enough people or enough teams or number 1 seed gets a bye to the semifinals. Or, I don't know if there's enough teams. If there were, I guess I wouldn't argue it. But you're still going to have small schools like, and I'm still going to call Grand Rapids a small school, but you're still going to have a small school like Grand Rapids that says, there's enough pride in this program that whatever the classes are, we're going to play at the highest.
Sure.
Because actually within the last couple of, last decade or so, Rapids could have gone if they chose not to opt up, they could have went single A like Cloquet did.
Yeah, right.
It's the numbers, but it's kind of teeters every couple of years here with our population. But Grand Rapids will never do that. They'll never go down a class like that.
Right. Okay.
As long as I'm still here, I'll yell about it. But
yeah, it was just a thought when I was going through some of the scores. I thought, geez, now I get what he's talking.
I understand what the scores, and I don't want to argue that because there's teams getting demoralized out there and getting just absolutely crushed. And I guess when teams are getting crushed to that extent, I guess the question comes into, well, who can you co-op with?
Yeah, maybe.
If you're getting beat that bad, what's going on with the program? Do you have how many teams? And I guess there's, there definitely is one in our section too that actually has 3 different co-ops with Northern Edge. So it's like, how many can you add? To certain schools in order to do that. Like look at, for instance, you mentioned Northern Lakes. They co-op a whole bunch of schools. Yeah, right. There's a lot there. It used to be just Pequot Lakes. Well, now it's Pequot Lakes, Breezy Point,
Crosby, Ironton.
Crosby, Ironton. They got everybody in there. So it's like, maybe that might be a thought for some of these teams that are getting absolutely crushed is to think about co-oping. And look what happened to Rock Ridge.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Look at a program, 2 really awesome programs from the past, but teams that struggled in recent history with Evelyn and Virginia and hadn't been to a state tournament since 2010.
Yeah.
And now they're looking at, Bowden for an opportunity here in the next couple of days because they co-opt a program and it brought new life to something. Think about that if teams are getting completely demoralized.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so a few scores. We did talk about Cloquet just a little bit. So they were 9-0 winners over Moose Lake. Roseau pulling the upset over Sartell 2-1. Chisholm Hibbing, 11-0 winners over North Shore. Pretty skinny here on some of the scores. Wilderness of Evelyn, 5-4 winners over Mason City. And did you see, I'm sure you did, last Saturday, the Moorhead Spuds traveled down to the cities, met the Hill Murray Pioneers on
they
Saturday.
dumped one. Second loss of the year.
Yes, Spuds 7, Pioneers 8. Possible championship game preview right there?
Well, not if we have something to say about that.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's you could see that happen. I mean, if both of those teams, and I would say that Moorhead's a layup to the state tournament. I don't think anybody's going to touch them. But Midgey would like to have something to say about that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And Moorhead's going to be a layup to the state tournament. Hill Murray's got work to do.
They got White Bear.
They got White Bear to go through, and I don't care what the score was this year. I don't care. They still got Stillwater too.
Oh, yeah,
that's a tough section right now. Yeah. So they got to find their way there in order to get there. And just like people talked about St. Thomas too. It's like St. Thomas, well, you don't have to lay up there either. You got to beat Cretan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And Rosemount.
Yeah, and Rosemount.
Irish.
So
good opportunity to shout out the Rosemount moms.
There you go. Yep.
Greatest moms in all of hockey in the state of Minnesota. So there it is to the Rosemount moms. So
yeah, I don't know. It could be foreshadow of a state championship game. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that if it's a state championship game, there isn't going to be 15 goals scored in it.
Well, that's good.
That
8-7 with that quality. Yeah, right. I mean, no time to watch it, but it's like that had to be just incredible.
A defensive battle or what?
I mean, Jesus,
holy cow!
Unbelievable.
We're gonna have to talk with our friends over there in Moorhead. Like, how are you letting up 8 goals? What's going on, Matt Cullen?
Let's go.
That's right. You were a forward, but you were one of the best defensive forwards in the league.
Oh gosh, 100%. So, all right, we'll cap it off with the Walleye Scott CFP Edina Hornets update. Eden Prairie 2, Edina 2. That was last week. So Edina tomorrow night begins a playoff against Armstrong. Was it Robbinsdale, Armstrong, Cooper? Is that right?
I don't know, but they've got the right idea. They're adding co-ops to the programs that have been hurting.
Yep, exactly. So, 2-2 tie for the Hornets. Okay, couple other news and notes. Chisholm Hibbing forward, junior Tate Swanson hits 100 career points last night. Congrats, Tater. Other guy was able to coach at mini mites, so
he must have got all the scoring from you.
Oh, 100%. And the thing, it's funny because I was just thinking about after I read it, it's like I got a couple more years, and because these your guys I was on the ice with, and they were mini mites and mites, and the Hibbing guys, and then it's going to be no more. It's going to be no more sooner than later. I don't know if you saw this. The Blooming Kennedy Eagles are no more. Last home game was February 10th. They will be, I'm assuming, I didn't see for sure, but them and Jefferson.
I would assume that's going to absorb those programs. I didn't get all the logistics on it. I didn't get what they were planning, but they were saying this is the last of the Eagles program. And
you go back to our era, in the late 80s, early 90s,
some of those
Bloomington Kennedy. I mean, come on.
It was always when Rapids was in the state tournament in the late 80s or
early 90s, like
91.
Right, yeah.
It was always Rapids versus Bloomington Kennedy in the first game. John Russian, you remember that name?
No, but
that
I
was
remember
a big stud that played for Bloomington Kennedy.
Okay, I remember Kirby St. John's. He was a Hibbing guy that had moved down.
Yep.
I was in Chisholm then, but I remember Kirby St. He was the greatest thing ever. Yep. And but so sad to see. So that program, if they lose their playoff game here, that will expire sooner than later. And of course, the biggest news in hockey over the last week, I'm sure you saw it, Saturday night, 4 Nations. I haven't seen this much social media about hockey. Well, probably since Oshie and Sochi, but whether it's NHL playoffs, All-Star games, I don't think we're going to see an All-Star game anytime soon. But did you see the game on Saturday night? What'd you think?
I did see it, and it's funny because it kind of slipped my mind that the game had started. But I want to start off with this first. Kudos to the NHL for doing this.
Yeah,
I think the days of we'll probably go back to an All-Star game at some point again too. But this is such a great idea. The 4 nations, and at some point in time, it might be the 5 nations. They probably have to bring Russia back into it. But, a little bit of history there, but I think everybody knows what's happening overseas with Russia and Ukraine. like, hey, get your stuff figured out over there with your crisis and whatnot, and then we'll think about adding you to this. But right now, it's 4 nations.
Yep.
But kudos to the NHL for doing this. Why did they pick these 4 nations? Well, these are always the top 4 in the Olympics and the World Championships all the time. They're the 4 best countries, so they take the best of the best from the NHL. They put their teams together, and what an awesome. Great kudos to Gary Bettman in the NHL. I know they want to boo. They say Gary Bettman, boo, whatever. Good idea.
Cheers, does he?
To do that. It was a good plan. I think stay away from the All-Star game for a little while. This is not your typical All-Star game.
Right.
It was not. It was normally you see an All-Star game and you don't see a body check ever in an All-Star game.
Well, it's been 3-on-3,
Yeah.
and there's been so many in the world versus.
Well, they got role
America,
players that are
and-
being picked for these teams for specific reasons, and you see why. So going back to my previous comment, I didn't have the game on right away, and then right after the first fight hit, I get a text message from a football coach. Hey, did you see that, Reno? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, first drop of the puck. Oh my gosh, it's on.
Yeah.
I clicked it on, and I was able to rewind it fast enough to watch it. In the first 9 seconds of the game, clockwise up on the clock, ticking down. You didn't even get it, drop the puck, and it was 1 second, boom, there's a fight. Yeah. Okay, take care of it. That was Matthew Tkachuk. Then drop the puck again, boom, okay, here goes his brother, Brady, and then another one on the far end.
JT Miller.
Oh,
yeah.
3 big fights right away to start the game, and we're not going to be here trying to push that part of the game, but I am going to tell you the level of excitement that it brought to this. It is now. This is not just your normal All-Star game. This is about our country, and I think a lot of this was probably planned before, but I don't think that it helped when you're in Montreal and they boo the national anthem. You don't boo somebody's national anthem. What are you doing? You're gonna, and I gotta say, out of those 3 fights, I think U.S. guys mopped up on all of them.
That JT Miller,
Yeah.
and I'm just shy of 6 feet. He's not my height. I met Parenko with Scotty a month ago, and he's a giant. He's like 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's massive. And, it took a lot of guts. And like I said, excitement, intensity. I mean, that's not what those are not the words you hear with an All-Star game. Excitement, intensity.
No, you hear skill.
Even just effort. You know, I mean, they kind of flow around.
Oh, it's usually float, pass, shoot.
Right,
it's usually 8 to 7.
8 to 7.
It looks like an all-star game, and then now you get a game that's 2-1, 3-2. You know what I mean?
Tons of
it's
intensity,
like,
yeah.
holy cow!
And they meet again tomorrow night. Thursday night. So be watching that. I
gold
believe
medal
it's-
game.
Yeah,
before
ABC, I believe, is what it is. And speaking of the 5 nations, I was even thinking, so how do you get that 6th team? Well, maybe if Russia, like you said, they get their stuff figured out, get Russia in, and then maybe they just do a world team everywhere else. Maybe you pick up a couple Germans, that Walker from Australia, Dreisaitl's a German, right? And maybe you can pick up some people from enough other Norway, get some guys from Norway. I don't know, but I was just trying to think of how could you make this work and get that 60, get Russia in and get that other team. So, like I said, kudos to the NHL. This is an NHL product, and I heard the ratings. I heard this Friday, so this is before the Saturday game. I heard the ratings at that point were already off the charts. So I don't think we're going to see an All-Star game anytime soon.
Well, I like it in short, short time frame. Like Olympics, you've got 2 weeks going on, and pool play, and then trying to get in the winner's bracket. And I like the fact that we're only talking just a week. 2 weeks of this.
Yep.
It's like a couple of games. You're talking. It feels like forever to get to the medal round. It's the Olympics. It's like, all right, these guys are playing for something. They play 3 games, and now it's you either make it to the finals or you don't.
Yeah, well, and then it's overseas like Milano next year, so there won't be a 4 nations next year because they are going to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
The Russians are already kicked out of the Olympics. And that's in Milano, and I think it's 8 hours in front of us. So that might work, but was it South Korea in 2018? I didn't watch a game.
I didn't see it.
Or whatever. So, so this is in North America and all this stuff. So anyway, I thought it was great. Like I said, I haven't seen this kind of social media reaction to hockey in a long, long time. So hopefully it helps grow the game. All right, episode 105. Anything to add to this, Epi?
No, I just like to say that I always like Jersey Day.
Yeah.
When we get into this.
100%.
This actually was, I did this last year. I wore Kyler Miller's jersey last year. I grabbed captain, kind of heart and soul kind of guy. Grabbed that jersey. I wore his last year. I grabbed Gus Drennan's this year.
Oh, Gussie.
Heart and soul guy, captain. That was my jersey number
Oh, okay.
back in the day, number 12.
All right.
Yep.
Well, good luck to you
Double
guys.
whammy.
Yeah, double whammy. Yep, the captain. Yeah, good luck to you guys. And everyone out there, like I said, see you all 4 o'clock, semifinal Saturday, this Saturday, February 22nd, Green Mill Canal Park. And if things go really, really well, who knows, we might be there for the post game too. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
You're driving, so
I'm driving.
I got to ride the bus and then ride home with you. So I'm at your mercy.
100%. All right, find us everywhere. X, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Musi app, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. We're everywhere. Merch, we will have some merch, new merch, down at the Green Mill. Or if you're not coming to the Green Mill and you happen to see me around Amsoil and you want something, I can always run out to the car. So we will have some tees and hats this Saturday. So track me down if you need something, or else Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We figure that all out with some shipping. And a big thank you to the greatest partners on earth: Aspire Heating and Control, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Zorbas of Grand Rapids, Iron Range Goalie Academy, Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC, Minnesota Hockey Camps, Jacksonville Moose Hockey Club, Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, and First National Bank of Chisholm. Cook for Reed Larson, I am Puka. It's time, kids, get out there and be your dream. Your 2-2, the Tea with Miss McGill Show.
First National Bank of Chisholm, where tradition meets the future. Locally owned and operated from our historic Lake Street location in the heart of Chisholm since 1905. From savings to your first big purchase, we're your partner every step of the way. First National Bank of Chisholm, the power to do more.
All right, fellas. You just can't get the hockey itch out of yourself. The college route isn't for you. Community college route isn't for you. The junior hockey route isn't for you. Well, there's still hockey that you can play. Why don't you check out the Jackson Hole Moose out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Take a look at these guys. Full crowds, full hockey, packed houses every night. Get a hold of TJ Thomas on Facebook, and he can get you hooked up with what's going on out there in Jackson Hole.
Hear about Zorba's specials? On Mondays, it's Micro Monday. All taps are just $4. Tuesdays, $3 tacos and $4 dos equis. Wednesdays, personal pizzas, $8 and domestic taps, $4. Thursdays, we have deals on nachos and $5 surly taps. We offer trivia on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., bingo on Thursday at 6 p.m., and then karaoke Thursdays at 10 p.m.
Did you know that fascia strength training is great if you have a banged up body and you'd like to heal and get stronger at the same time? Unlike muscle focused exercise that leaves your body stiff and achy, fascia strength exercise releases muscle tension and fills your body with a spring-loaded power and cat-like agility. Fascia strength is great for athletes and martial artists. If you'd like to pursue this training, take a look at my program, Fascia Strength and Power. I'll leave a link in the description box below.